The following podcast is rated S.
Shut up, Bob. This is my podcast now.
No, it's not.
Yes, it is.
No, it's not.
With your hosts,
the independent Pokemon champion, Bobo.
The best host on this corner of the fucking universe or something, umce.
The mystery man of mysterious madness, Captain M.
And Frost.
Also, I'm here.
And because umce forgot to say it, this is Around the Nerd.
For our time to come calculated, everything we've done, we've upgraded. Now you can't outrun a champion. Now you're facing one. Can you hear them? Yeah, it's all for us. You believe them? Yeah, it's serious. Hear the siren. We're victorious. I'm telling you.
Non-licensed P-men, assemble!
What?
Say your superhero names and origins, dipshits.
Oh, I am the ostrich. I'm a shitty martial artist, and, well, I'm the sidekick to the moose. Speaking of moose, where is he?
Dead, I killed him.
Fuck!
You're rainy, umce. The most toxic of personalities and probably the lamest. I'm just excited to Bob doesn't punch me in the face.
I'm just the cat dad with my army of adorable, fluffy monstrosities. I can make anyone do what I want because I will either cause them to itch like crazy from the dander, or cause them to sneeze, or just help them scratch your eyes out.
And I am Captain M. My parents were killed by a radioactive spider. I truly do not see how they could not see it coming. It was radioactive and therefore glowed in the dark. Then again, how does one truly react to 7 switchblades and 1 cheese knife?
I think we broke Bob.
Oh my god. I'm usually broken. Haven't you figured this out by now?
No,
After your last relationship.
we
For
broke
anyone
him
who
last.
cannot tell, this is our superhero show. More specifically, our podcast on the MCU.
Sounds like it's gonna be a failure at first and then be really good near the end.
Ladies and gentlemen, welcome.
And then we're gonna have some side podcasts that are like really hopeful and really good, but then all of a sudden just end out of nowhere.
We already have that.
Oh yeah,
We
it's
already
called
have that.
The Fourth podcast, the Doctor Who podcast,
The Doctor Who podcast is my fault.
where she was supposed to record a review for Ruby and Sapphire, but that never happened.
Welcome to Around the Nerd, everybody. And
That was
here
no
is where it devolves into chaos.
But in all seriousness, this week's theme is the MCU.
Yes, it
And
is.
I'll let everybody get the craziness out first because I actually do have some thoughts in mind.
Well,
Okay, allow me to start by saying penis. There we go. There's a big joke out of the way.
your face is
See, a
big
joke means you actually have to put effort into it.
I don't have a joke. I just happened to watch the intro of Guardians of the Galaxy yesterday without the music, and it was hilarious.
So,
That's on my to-do list now.
I have a little bit of P3 Podcast Network housekeeping to take care of. Gentlemen and umce.
It's Goblin, thank you.
Yeah, that too. The Pokemon Stadium Tag Team Championships have been completed and are currently sitting in a briefcase under my desk. All that's left is to get them won by somebody. Now, all right, MCU. So are we starting from the beginning? This is completely your, baby here.
Yeah, I'm probably the person who knows the most lore. I have seen everything Netflix has to offer, except the last season of The Punisher. I've seen all of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I have seen The Runaways. The only thing I haven't seen, which thank goodness they took out of canon, was the Inhumans miniseries.
Oh,
Oh.
God.
Yeah, they legit flopped so hard they ripped that fucking thing out of canon.
Yeah, it was
I
just
wonder
like,
why.
no. Failure. Go away.
It was...
Huh.
I think its most unforgivable sin was that it was boring.
Yeah. Which, again, how can you make a superhero series or show or like anything focusing around people with supernatural abilities or superpowers of any kind? How can you make it boring? Like,
I don't know.
Season
ask
5
the
of
guys that
Angel.
did it.
Well,
I mean,
no, here's what you do. You just give it to ABC. Because let me tell you, some of those Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. seasons, they had their moments. Don't get me wrong, but some of the episodes you had to fight through.
oh yeah, no, I understand that. Like, I've seen almost all of Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. I'm just kind of like, I'm catching up on it, but it's something that I don't want to like. I don't. It's one of those shows that I can't binge watch. Like,
Yeah.
it's that whole thing. Like, I mean, with the Netflix, like with the Netflix Marvel series, I could binge watch those, except for Iron Fist. Iron Fist bored the shit out of me.
Oh, yeah, 100%.
Oh my god!
The second season was at least somewhat watchable, as in you can put it in the background and actually somewhat enjoy listening to their shit.
Yeah, but I mean, like Iron Fist was just like, oh my god, why? Why
Okay,
did this
and
happen?
this does bring me into something I kind of want to talk about. However, into getting to this, I kind of have to reference another YouTuber, and just gonna call it out right now. The YouTuber's name is totally not Mark, and he mainly does Dragon Ball Super, and Dragon Ball Z Abridged. One thing he did bring up, and we will immediately get back to the MCU, but I do need to talk about this to get my point across, is he was talking about how when Team 4-Star did the TFS Abridged series, how some of the stuff that they did was better than the original series in some manner of fact. And when talking about it, basically the whole thing is that they had time. You know, Dragon Ball had just recently celebrated its 25-year anniversary. They're currently doing the 30-year box set. And Team 4-Star, because they love the lore, they just know everything by heart, and they figured out, hey, what didn't work back then and what works now. And they were able to sift through it. And the reason I bring this up is because in a lot of ways, that's kind of how the MCU works right now. A lot of it was, hey, throughout 50 years of Marvel history, well, 50 plus, what worked and what was the fucking Clone Saga?
Yeah, no, and I love the fact that Bob and umce are just like chatting to each other on the fucking Discord chat because I guess do you not have anything to add about the content or?
Well,
Don't
not
watch
not
the
yet.
TV series. The Netflix series. There we go.
Yeah,
Oh.
it's because it's a Netflix series. I've seen everything except I've seen everything except Captain Marvel and the second Thor. No, the newest Thor.
Oh, Ragnarok?
Yeah.
Oh my
best
god, Ragnarok is the best one by far.
Oh, gosh, yeah.
I
Oh,
know
wait.
him from work. I know him from work.
I'm
So,
the best fan of my life.
so speaking about Thor and stuff, one of the things was at the beginning of the MCU, there were some hiccups, to say the least. Iron Man
or the Dark World.
Iron Man definitely started out strong. You had Incredible Hulk, which it's not bad, but the fact that you have to remind people in the MCU, it's in the MCU, tells you how forgettable it was.
Yeah.
Iron Man 2, to me, is right with Thor: The Dark World, where it's just the MCU's pile of shit that they had to walk on to get to someplace better.
Yeah, I mean, like, honestly though, the Dark World did have some interesting ideas. Like,
Not
it did have some interesting concepts. They just handled everything so poorly, and that's just because I don't think they understood what they wanted to do with Thor. Because
Honestly,
with
okay,
Thor
go ahead.
with Thor being this, like, I mean, he is this all-powerful character. He is a god.
Yeah.
So having him be all-powerful and super strong, it's kind of like the One Punch Man situation, where the guy is so powerful or so strong, you can't have anything he does taken seriously. So
And yeah, with Taika Waititi, the director of Thor Ragnarok, he's like, this person's a fucking god. Treat him as such,
Yeah,
but realize
exactly.
it's going to be ridiculous. Let's just roll with the ridiculous.
Yes, and that's the thing I loved about the fact that, like, when you took, like, you went from Thor: The Dark World into the opening scene of Thor Ragnarok, and it's just like, this was a complete fucking 180, but
And
I
feel
loved it.
sad. I feel sad because when I watched the second Thor movie, like, I'm the kind of person who does like a lot of graphics work, and I know logos. So when I watched the Avengers, when I watched Iron Man 3, I noticed like the whole thing with like the Paramount logo at the beginning. But with Thor, they had the Marvel Studios logo. And one rule that I always had when I was a kid, because when I was a kid, I was poor as shit. We had to get like movies and stuff from a thrift shop. And if a movie started with its title and no logos in front of it, it was going to be a shit movie no matter what.
Yep.
I learned that. And so seeing Marvel Studios only without Paramount, Universal, anything else, I'm thinking, the fuck's going on? And then I saw Thor: The Dark World, and I saw the movie, and I'm like, oh shit.
Yeah.
Like, I hope this isn't the MCU. And then the next MCU movie I saw was Captain America: The Winter Soldier, and I'm like, oh no, they were just fucking stupid.
Yeah. Like, I think it's, again, I think it was just the fact that they were having growing pains with the character. Like, I don't know, but you also had the whole thing with Iron Man where, like,
He
Iron
pissed
Man
in
2,
his suit.
Yeah. Fucking hell. Iron Man 2 was bad.
It was. And here's something that's going to rub a lot of people the wrong way, and including umce in our chat right now. I personally, like, don't get me wrong, Iron Man 1 was amazing. It would be my favorite if I didn't watch it religiously to the point where I cannot watch it anymore. Like, there was a time in my life where, like I said, my family was poor, and when you got a brand new movie that's actually fucking good, you watch it till it dies. But no, my favorite of the Iron Man trilogy has to be Iron Man 3.
Yeah.
Okay. Hold on. Okay. So, Iron Man 3 is your favorite.
Yep.
Okay. Now, I know umce has something to say about this, but before we get the I love you, umce, degrading asshole who he tends to be, I have something to say.
Okay.
Iron Man 3, I feel, was MCU's way of saying, hey, Tony Stark is a dick.
Mm-hmm.
But we're going to show growth.
Yep.
And I love it. My favorite fucking line from that movie is when he's in the car and the fucking kid's in the snow, and he's just like, could you please let me in? Could you please take me? Please, we're connected. I'm so cold. He's like, you know how I can tell you're cold? Because we're connected, and then just books it.
And
yeah.
I just have, like, it was decent, but it wasn't gold. Like, it doesn't deserve the best of the Iron Mans. 2 doesn't deserve that either. The only thing 2 deserves...
I'll admit that. Like I said, the reason why Iron Man 3 is my favorite is because pretty much Iron Man 1, I've seen it to death. But let me explain to you the reason why I love Iron Man 3 so much, and it comes from an actual Marvel quote from Matt Murdock, aka Daredevil. He's in this little comic strip, he's giving like the rundown on all the Avengers, and he gets to Iron Man, and the exact quote is, Tony Stark's superpower isn't the Iron Man suit. Tony Stark's superpower is his intellect and ingenuity. If you throw him buck naked in a desert, he will ride out in a suit made of sand and cactus needles.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And that's why I loved Iron Man 3 so much, was because it had this Sherlock kind of vibe. Don't get me wrong. Not all the plot was great, and I'm pretty sure everyone ever hates what they did with the fucking Mandarin. But you gotta remember, they introduced aliens in the last movie besides whatever the fuck Thor's race is. And yes, I know they're a god, but when you say interdimensional beings, it's like, can you just not fucking say god?
Thor's race are aliens that are revered as gods. Like, that's the thing. Like, I mean, they're not technically interdimensional beings. I mean, yeah, the different realms and stuff are a thing, but, like, let's be just completely direct and honest about it. They are fucking aliens. The Asgardians are a different race of aliens. Asgard is a planet, not a plane of existence kind of thing, basically.
All right. So then, umce, you had something to say about Iron Man 3.
Yeah. I was going to say I don't hate it. I just don't think that it was done properly.
Okay. See, I thought you had, like... I'm sorry, but sometimes...
Plot twist.
Okay.
I even told Matt this. I told Matt to his face, like, dude, it's going to confuse the shit out of Bob when I say this.
Well, all right. Yeah, you're right. It confuses the shit out of me.
I thought it was poorly done and handled poorly to the point where, like, I don't hate it. I thought what they did with Tony was great. It made him an actual character instead of just a raging cunt. In the end, it was just like, why did they do some of these things? And then some of them aren't even canon now. Like, what's going on here?
I mean,
I wish they would just, like, don't get me wrong. I wish they could redo it with a proper Mandarin.
Oh yeah,
Mandarin on other things. Yeah.
Let's face it. The movie was not Iron Man 3. It was Tony Stark 1.
Yeah.
It was him. Like near the end. Yeah, I can agree with that. It was Tony Stark 1.
It was the birth.
And it's like also Pepper is apparently a superhero now.
But they took that out of her because we didn't want to deal with that.
I love Pepper. Shut up.
I do. I love her too.
I love Pepper Potts, but we do not need rescue in the MCU. I'm sorry. Like, I understand what they, like, I understand, you know, trying to give Pepper her thing in time, but we don't need rescue. We already have War Machine and Iron Man. We don't need fucking rescue. We're gonna start just throwing in all of the Iron Man clan, and that's just gonna fuck everything over.
Yeah, don't get me wrong. Like, I love sidekicks and everything, and I like the Falcon. I love the Soldier. I love pretty much every sidekick they've introduced, but at the same time, with every other superhero, it's variety. Captain America's sidekick, the Falcon, he's a guy that flies and has a little drone now. Like, that's kind of neat. Winter Soldier is his buddy, so you got plot relevance. And then you have Iron Man, which is like, you took Photoshop, you copied his suit, and then did a custom paint job. That is all his fucking sidekicks.
Every single fucking one. I mean, go by, like, I mean,
he has a Gatling gun on his shoulder. That makes him different.
War Machine was never Iron Man's sidekick, though.
No,
War Machine was never Rhodes was never Iron Man's sidekick. Like,
Yeah,
Rhodes was his
sidekick
confidant.
means that he'd actually do something
friend.
in the fucking films.
Right.
Yeah,
But-
besides to get crippled.
Yeah.
But no, seriously, every single one of Tony Stark's in comics and every other canon from Tony Stark, every single one of Iron Man's, like, sidekicks are other fucking Iron Man suits that have either been modified, stolen, like...
I was hoping you'd mention how many suits he has fucking stolen.
Oh my god!
Literally, during the Civil War comic, there is a part where the Punisher is climbing up Avengers Tower, and he, like, breaks into Iron Man's shit, and suddenly they're like, how did he... Suddenly, like, the team who's talking to him is like, how did he get past his security? How did he get past his locks? And his fucking response is, he needs bigger locks.
No! Like, I swear to God, like, how many times has Pepper stolen a suit from Tony after he told her she couldn't be rescue anymore? How many times in the fucking storylines of any of the, even the Ultimate Universe, anything, has Pepper just gone like, nah, fuck it, I'm taking it, I'm going.
It's kind of like how everyone will go onto Amazon and they'll be willing to buy, like, you know, $1,000 worth of shit, but they won't pay $5.99 for shipping. That's what Tony's suits are. He creates this big fucking display of these multi-million-dollar suits, and he protects them with a gosh damn padlock.
Yep.
Hey guys,
I mean,
guys,
yeah.
we gotta quote unquote pay for the network. So break time.
Okay.
Oh.
All right.
Love you, part 1.
Hey, Wisconsin listeners, do you want to own the movies or video games that we talk about here on the P3 Podcast Network?
Well, you can visit Mojo's Electronics in Shawano, Oshkosh, or Antigo, Wisconsin, and they'll do their best to find you any game or movie you're looking for.
That's Mojo's Electronics, exclusive friends of the P3 Podcast Network.
So, does this mean I get to come out of the basement more?
No!
Okay, man, but the mice!
All right, we are back. Sorry. Actually, it wasn't that quick. What I did is I actually left you guys muted for a second so I could say that. Because I don't feel like I'm getting a word in edgewise here today.
I apologize.
No. It's I knew when I agreed to do this one. I knew it that this was going to happen because I am not an authority on MCU.
You are surrounded
way.
by huge nerds, so...
Well, I am a huge nerd. I'm just a huge Pokemon. I'm a huge, Give
Dude,
me Avatar: The Last Airbender. I'll talk y'all's ear off.
Okay, dude, I have my Endgame ticket right by my bed right now.
Well, and again, like, I get it. I do. But, like, my realm of, like, okay, Frost, you're Magic. Like, Magic the Gathering is your thing. It always has been.
Yeah.
umce, video games, bro. I ask you, hey, what's the plot of this video game? And you, that's it.
Wrong.
And dude, I love this. I'm not in any way, like, being mad about this or anything.
Oh, no, I know.
I love it. And it makes me so happy that I can sit here and listen to you guys and not do anything except monitor the podcast.
But I mean, and that's the thing. Like, my realm of nerddom, Magic the Gathering, Final Fantasy, like any kind of JRPG, honestly, and then like going into Nintendo, like the Nintendo video game world, like you get me going about Zelda, and I will be going for days.
Okay.
But
See, for me, what happens is I have to, like, sleep with noise. And on the days where I can't do with just, like, fake YouTube video rainstorm, I'll turn on shit that goes through like MCU lore and Star Wars lore and shit like that. And so when I can't fall asleep, I'll just pay attention to that. And so besides watching all the shit, like I look for the little Easter eggs, the tied in comics and stuff like that.
Yeah.
So,
I mean,
okay. Sorry.
Like,
one more quick thing. Endgame opens not this coming Friday, but the following, right?
Endgame is not this Friday, but the following, yeah.
Okay. All right. I might still be able to join you guys. I will take care of my ticket. I will take care of Ethan's ticket.
Okay, because it's at 8 o'clock, so just so you know.
And it's going to be 3 hours long.
Ooh. Oh, God. He's so crabby.
that's the thing. Like, and yeah, I'm probably gonna go see it on Friday. On the Friday it comes out too, if I don't work. But
all right.
I don't know. But
So, sorry, Frost.
No, I can go on, like, what Em was saying regarding, like, the whole watching videos about, like, the MCU lore and stuff like that. Like, I subscribe to a channel on YouTube, actually a couple of channels on YouTube, like, I don't know, like, you probably know about game theory and film theory.
Oh, yeah.
And did you watch the video where he came up with his theory about where the Soul Stone was in the MCU?
Yeah, I did.
Would that not have been a better idea than what they actually did?
Oh, yeah, but at the same time, like, I loved Infinity War. I'm not going to say it's the perfect film. It was the perfect film for what it needed to be.
Yep.
And when the Russo brothers said they wanted it to be like this generation's Star Wars, I thought they meant as in like popularity. They fucking meant like Empire Strikes Back. When I went to go see it with my friends, it was fucking awesome. It felt like a once in a lifetime experience.
Yep.
Because the whole audience during any other film, especially in a small town like what me, umce, and Bob live in, you don't get responses. But at the end of it, you had people throwing their popcorn so fucking pissed off. At the very end, when it said Thanos will return instead of any of the fucking heroes, I heard someone in front of me like, "Oh, fucking great!" as they left the theater. Yep. It felt like you were a part of something, whether or not you were with these fucking hick people who live in a mess town or not.
Yeah.
Oh my God.
I mean, that's the thing. Like, you don't, like, even if you're not, like, fully versed on the actual lore of the Marvel world or the Marvel continuity, even outside of that, even with Bob, Bob has not seen any of the Netflix series.
Oh yeah.
That's something that, like, you don't need to, but you get that extra bit of, like, oh, that's kind of cool. Like, that's kind of the thing. Like, the whole premise of the first season of Daredevil is basically, after the first Avengers, New York has gone to shit. Because it's all been fucking leveled by the fight the Avengers had with the Chitauri.
Yeah, and I absolutely love that, because the thing I love about watching, Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D. and, the Netflix shows is it doesn't do it all the time, but when you get little connections like that remind you, hey, this is all one big fucking thing, it feels great. So when you get to Endgame, when you get to the snap, it's just even more fucking devastating.
Because you don't know how many of these characters you know and love are gone.
Yeah, exactly. Because in the movie they had over 67 developed characters, and you only saw so many of them die. And you're thinking about, what about the Hulu people? What about the fucking Netflix cast?
Yeah. No, I mean, and what about all of the Agents of S.H.I.E.L.D.? What about all of that shit?
Okay. Before we continue, I have to tell you something fucking mean I pulled on my friend. My best friend, his name is Kevin, and I got him into the MCU right back when it was starting. He's been keeping up every single birthday. I get him the newest movie if he hasn't seen it. So last year, he went to go see Infinity War with me. It was the third time I was watching it. And I knew what happened at the end. He didn't. He avoided spoilers like the fucking plague. And instead of looking at the screen, I had my eyes adjust to like the darkness in the room so I could see his fucking face. Because I love doing that. I am a sick motherfucker. If something in a show, I want all my friends to experience, and I want to see their fucking reaction. So Ant-Man and the Wasp came out, and he did not get to see it, but I bought it on DVD the moment I could. We're watching it either. Okay, so Bob, spoiler.
Hold on. Hey, message me when you're done with the spoiler.
Okay.
Go.
So here's the thing I fucking did, is I built up for an entire fucking year how after Infinity War, this was a nice, calm, funny family movie that was just like a reset to everything. And it was. And he was watching it and he was enjoying it. And I gotta remind, like, nobody knows this, but he's the guy who actually got me into church. We don't talk about religion or anything, but he's usually like a calm kid, someone who doesn't really swear that often. But it gets to the end. It gets to the scene where Ant-Man's in the fucking quantum realm, and he's like, "Is anybody there? Is anybody there? Hello? Hello?" He sees the dust. He looks at me. God damn it, Matt.
Yep. I just, that's the thing. Like, and it's, even in a film like that, I mean, even though we know that the stakes, while we say the stakes are so technically high at this point in time, like, even though we know that these characters are coming back, because, there's movies coming.
We're good.
Like, there's movies coming in. Like, I mean, obviously, Spider-Man Far From Home can't exist without Peter Parker coming back.
Yeah.
I mean, and Black Panther 2 can't exist without the Black Panther. Like, that's
and one thing I do want to say while we're on the topic of Spider-Man Far From Home is I really hope they're doing what I fucking think they're doing, because like in the first Spider-Man film, like with all the other Spider-Man films that came before Homecoming and Civil War, you know, you had which always made me pissed off at them because they didn't have rights to anything. Like Amazing Spider-Man 1 and 2, you had this underlying mystery. It was like, who killed my parents? Yep. Oscorp. Who's the big evil bad guy? Oscorp. Like, can we not have somebody besides fucking Oscorp? You have to have like a different name in your fucking, properties besides that. Yeah. And then you get Spider-Man Homecoming, and don't get me wrong, not talking about the villains anymore, but you have like the little mentorship with Iron Man, and it helps build to Infinity War because Tony sees himself as his surrogate father. But then you see the trailer for Far From Home, and you have Nick Fury, and I'm kind of hoping like these two films, because Tom Holland's Loose Lips did reveal it's a fucking trilogy. Is I'm hoping that Nick Fury is kind of like, hey, whoever died in Endgame. That's not your fucking fault. They paid the price, but they did so knowing they'd bring you back. Get the fuck over it and be Spider-Man. And so I want that in Far From Home. I want to see that. I want to see that development. I want to see, how Spider-Twerp, which is what me and my wife call him, he's our favorite fucking Spider-Man, don't at me.
Yep.
And so I want Nick Fury to be like, Spider-Twerp, this movie, I'm going to get your ass in gear so that your last one, you can be full Spider-Man. You can be that new fucking Tony Stark that shows up in every other fucking movie.
Yes.
Yeah.
And I want that so fucking bad.
I love the fact, though, and this is the thing that I loved about it, too, is, like, Homecoming, they didn't fuck around with like, oh, this is the origin of Peter Parker as
Oh,
Spider-Man.
thank you.
Yeah.
We have seen and heard Peter Parker's origin story so many fucking times.
And
6 billion.
something I want to address as well with Far From Home and Homecoming. With the other film, Spider-Man trilogy, you know, it was just leading the way of superhero films being taken seriously. So you had, for the villains, you had to go for grounded, realistic ones. And so for the time, that's what you got. You got Green Goblin, who was bit of science juice with a fucking generic Iron Man suit.
Yep.
You had Doc Ock, which was just honestly a compelling villain.
Yes.
And then you had all the fuckers in Iron Man 3. Or not Iron Man 3, Spider-Man 3.
Spider-Man 3, Sandman, and Venom.
And then you had The Amazing Spider-Man, which was the Lizard. It felt like they were taking a step, but then, you know, it was kind of like when they get to Amazing Spider-Man 2 and we don't have time for all the things wrong with that film.
Yeah, no.
I mean,
But
for one
bitten
thing,
by fucking radioactive electric eels.
Yeah.
So
let
I
umce
love
talk.
how Marvel Studios, when they took back Spider-Man, it was kind of like, first of all, I feel like the name Homecoming was just like a jab, kind of like, you know, the father that lends out his really expensive collectibles to his kids, just like, no, you fucked up too many times, I'm taking my toys back. Homecoming, bitch, he's where he belongs.
Yep.
But with the supervillains, I love that he was introduced then. Don't get me wrong, it would have been cool to see him earlier on, but you already have Guardians of the Galaxy. The movie right after Spider-Man was Thor Ragnarok. The MCU is used to insanity at this point, so I feel like when they're casting for the villains for Spider-Man, they don't have to worry about shit. They just looked at Michael Keaton. Hey, want to play another bird? Yeah? Okay, fuck it.
Okay, I think umce wants to say something, so...
Yeah.
Go.
Okay, and you...
Wait.
Was that for
Umce.
umce or me?
No, that was
Okay.
for umce.
Yeah.
I have fragrant boobies.
oh. I mean, I was just gonna say I find it funny that, of all things, they made Peter Parker someone who is established in the lore to be a very nerdy and kind of cowardly dude. They're pimp, badass, cool guy all the time.
Yeah. No, like,
For Spider-Man, like when he
Yeah.
puts on the mask, yeah, that makes sense for that personality. But for Peter Parker, no, he's not supposed to be a cool guy. He's supposed to be a nerd.
They actually
That's
did address that in Homecoming, because one of my favorite fucking things is, like, for all the other ones, like we were saying before, you got to remember there were no other superheroes in those universes, in the Raimi and the fucking Mark Reb or whatever it was. With this one, he looks up to Iron Man, so he's kind of like puffing out his chest, trying to play big boy. And then when he's like, I'm too big for fucking school, I don't need to finish it, everyone like Aunt May, Ned, and Iron Man just like smack the shit out of him.
he's
And
like,
it's
nah,
just like, no,
go
you
back to
fucking
school.
finish this.
go back
you're-
to school.
Yeah, like, you're intelligent enough to create your own fucking web to swing across New York. You're gonna finish fucking high school.
Yep. And I like the fact that, like, like you were talking with the villains and stuff like that, too. I mean, like, it's just the idea of how in the original Spider-Man series, yeah, they tried to be a bit more grounded in the first two and then go crazy in the third one, kind of. But in the Amazing Spider-Man series, they had all the problems wrong. Honestly, like
Yeah.
the original, the first Amazing Spider-Man wasn't bad.
It wasn't.
It wasn't good, but
It was
wasn't
forgettable.
bad. Yeah, exactly.
But-
And then
Oh, go ahead.
and then all of the sudden, it's just like, yeah, no, we're just gonna kind of like, we are going to take Spider-Man in the direction he needs to go. He's not going to be played by some 30-something-year-old guy who has never probably experienced rejection from a girl or anything of that nature. We're not going to have him played by some adult pretending to be a teenager. I mean, yeah, Tom Holland's not a teen, but he's
He's baby-faced.
He
He's baby
definitely.
faced.
Yeah.
He's baby faced, but he's also got this very like you can tell just from everything that's happened off screen with the guy that like he's living his dream.
I fucking
right
love
now.
him. I love the actor too because he is every one of us if we
Yes.
got into that position because the whole fucking running
dream.
Yeah, the whole running gag with everyone to the point where he even gets into interviews like they have like one of his fucking cast members in with like a roll of duct tape just to like fucking play threaten him.
Yep. Like they won't like when they were doing the press tour for Infinity War, he could not do an interview alone.
And the best part is he doesn't even get his full fucking rips. There was literally a part where someone points out, like, one of his fans tweeted him, like, Tom Holland looks like he's in Infinity War. He doesn't look like he doesn't know what the fuck he's doing or what the fuck to look at. And so it works for the film, but he legit said, like, that's true. They gave me my lines. They told me how I'm supposed to react. They didn't tell me anything about the fucking movie.
That's the thing. Like this guy, like he's living his dream. He's a total fucking nerd. He's a total like he is Peter Parker in so many ways. And that's the thing I like about how they're playing that character, and they're playing his character off so well in that. But you also have, of course, like God damn it.
And oh my gosh. Okay, one thing is that right now we are living in a society where things are changing. There's so much woman power and stuff like that. And it's kind of hard to find a balance between a woman who's strong and takes action and to just, well, honestly portraying a total bitch. And so one thing I'm going to quickly say about the last little bit of Spider-Man, I love their fucking MJ. Like, I don't care if she doesn't have white skin, if she doesn't have like red hair, if she's not having like a fucking gigantic rack with a Spider-Man heart on it. I love this MJ. And one of the reasons I love it is shown off so beautifully in the new trailer for Far From Home, where Peter goes up to her and they're like alone, and he's like, I think you're pretty. And so she goes, So that defines my worth? And he's like, no. And he's like, and she, no, I'm kidding. I think you're pretty too. And I love that. And I love that because it's so fucking dorky. And I know, like, if they didn't cut off from that scene, you could probably see Peter blush at that.
Nice.
And that's, I don't know. I just, like, one last kind of thing about that is just, like, they have done such a good job getting these people that are playing the characters so perfectly. Like, I could never, like, personally, I would never have thought that Chris Pratt would have been a good Star-Lord, but then all of a sudden it's just like, holy shit! Like, yes, I apologize. I'm so still.
Yeah.
But
one last thing, the bane of this podcast's existence.
That is going to be the title of our next podcast.
No, that's going to be the title of this podcast. That is this episode's title. I'm calling it right here, right now.
Our one true enemy, one last thing.
20 seconds.
But I just love the fact that
Oh shit, that's enough time for a dick joke!
I'm skinny and fat. You see my penis like I am. Ha ha!
Alrighty then.
Okay. Hey, guess what it's time for?
Casting is perfect. That's all I'm going to say.
Guess what it's time for? It's time for me to close the show.
Okay.
In the words of our fabulous former producer. Ha ha ha. Anyway. All right.
What the fuck?
Ladies and gentlemen, thank you for listening to Frost and Captain M, the podcast. We will be back next week sometime with another one. But hopefully umce and I will actually be able to talk during that one. You never know. I'm going to leave you guys with two things.
I have fragrant boobies.
And, I don't know. I just had to play that one more time. I played it like 4 times through the podcast.
Fucking damn it.
You guys have a wonderful night.
Can I do my one plug of my shit that's happening this week?
No, because I have 5 seconds. Bye.
Okay.
Night, everybody.